So I'm just going to stand here in my resting stance with my feet together, making sure that I have softened my knees. And then when you come out, so you shift your weight, so you sink down low, you put your weight into one of your legs, your choice. And as you go down, I want you to kind of almost like making a circular movement from your thumb. And I go from my thumb and then go backwards from my little finger and all the way back again. But or just like a little, as if you're turning a big switch or something. Alright, okay. So stepping out, feel that, so you're sinking in, and just go through your fingers one by one, and really then drop your tailbone into your heels. Alright, okay, I've come into quite a narrow stance. You don't have to. If you feel more comfortable in a wider one, go for it. I just want to stay in this narrow stance for now. So as I was saying, sink your tailbone. So I want you to drop your tailbone as if you're sitting onto a high stool. Alright, so sink your tailbone to both of your heels for now. Soften those knees. As I say, don't buckle those in. Alright, they should be away from each other. I'm not asking you to force them out, but they should be, your knees should be away from each other. Alright, and then you don't want to just kind of stuck on the floor. So what I want you to do is then redistribute those away to the sides of your feet and to the ball of your feet and your big toe. I like it. I like to feel my big toe down onto the floor as well. Alright, and then I need you to adjust your back. So I know your tailbone should be sinking down, so that should be adjusted, your lower back, so it's not curving inwards. But just to make sure that you are tilted with your tailbone facing the floor, and then if you can, just kind of almost like round it, so you're not like this. Well, that's what I want you to do, so that your back is kind of round, but not hunch. Okay, and neutral spine, so your spine needs to be in that. So if you imagine each vertebrae one on top of the other, and that's where I want you. And it's actually important, so I don't want you to stand with your head lifted like this. So I do want you to kind of almost like tug your chin underneath, but not bending your neck. Because your vertebrae needs to stay, and then you can actually just sit something on the top of your head. Okay, so but your chin, you do need a tug under, and this is where we're going to start. And make sure that your shoulders is nice and relaxed and dropped. Abdominal breathing. So when you breathe in, tummy expands. And when you breathe out, tummy should deflate. And as I said in the past, if you can at the same time when you inflate your tummy, it's almost like you're pushing your pelvic floor further towards the floor. So you might be sinking in a little bit more. And then when you breathe out, or you deflate, so you relaxes your tummy, and that pelvic floor kind of rises a little bit as well. So let's just do this. In, pelvic floor down. Breathe out. Pelvic floor comes back up. Tummy relaxes. Alright, okay. And now I just need you to, if you then come down, sink a little bit lower, and then I want you to start, it's almost like a bend in your hip flexors. So you're opening your hip flexors. Make sure your shoulders are dropped, elbows dropped, as if you're holding a big massive bowl. So if you're holding a bowl, you can't hold a bowl like this because the bowl will drop on the floor. So just relax your hands and just breathe. So you breathe in and breathe out. So I want you to start feel the connection between your this hand and this hand, as if they're going to touch. Okay. Maybe you can imagine that your fingers are growing and they're going to touch each other. So remember, your shoulder needs to be dropped. So I want you need to relax still need to stay loose. Just a little bit longer. Feel the connection between your fingers. So you keep keeping your breath. Breathe out. You can feel the connection between your fingers. Imagine this ball. It's getting bigger. Alright? So it's getting bigger. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. You can close your eyes if you want. Keep sinking. Making sure that back is stays. So what you want to do, if you imagine that you want to empty here and make your back bigger. Still tucking your chin underneath, keeping that spine nice and straight. Alright, okay. So I just want you to bring your chi back into your lower dantian. Alright, let's start. Still in your stance. Again, I might go a bit further, just to encourage you to do so. Because when you're wider, you can sink a little bit longer. It's a little bit easier, a little bit kinder for your quads. So, if you just bring your hands together like this, I just need you to slowly rise, and then I want you to stretch one of your arms up, but I don't want you to stretch with your shoulders. What I want you to do is lift, kind of make yourself tall with your core, and then just slowly bring your arms down in a semicircle. Alright, so let's do that again. So you go breathing in. So I'm going to reach towards the ceiling with my core first, and just relaxing my arm in a circular movement, and breathe out. So this, you're relying on your arms, moving them a lot, but I want you to take care when your arms come back down the other way that you're not closing your back. So keep your back still nice and round, and breathe out. So you just dropping your elbow in essence. I'm going to lower, opening my hip flexors, and then just slowly rise from my stance and breathe out. So let's try that again. So in effect, I'm dropping my elbow. I am opening my hip flexors to make myself go down a little bit more. And as I slowly rise, it means I don't need to move my arms as much coming down. Alright, this time, still the same, breathing in. I'm bending, I'm opening my hip flexors by bending it, alright? But I'm going to start shifting my weight. So what I mean by shifting weight is, you know that connection that I asked you to find between your tailbone and your heels? So when I shift weight, my tailbone sits on that side of my heel. So the weight distribution is no longer 50-50, but change, 70-30. So I'm going to do it on this side. Again, breathing in, sink, open my hip flexors. But I'm going to shift weight. So basically I'm finding my tailbone on this side of my leg. Alright, okay. So let's try that again. Breathing it in. Still using your core to reach to the top. Opening your hip flexors. Shifting weight. So my tailbones now sit on this side of my leg. Breathing out. In. Shifting weight. Breathing out. Let's have one on each side. In. I'm shifting weight. Breathing out. You can come up a little bit if your legs are tired. Breathe in, still sinking. I'm opening my hips. By shifting weight, I have to actually open this side a little bit more. And breathe out. Alright, good. Let me just lengthen your arms for me. Not too high. I asked you this last week, alright? Don't know whether you worked it out yet. So if you hold your arms quite high up, what happens is you should be able to feel your shoulders working. So I want you to relax your elbow, so drop your elbow, lower your arm until you can't feel anything in your shoulders anymore. But you should feel somewhere else instead. And stay there. And now I just want you, again, feel the connection between your hands. This one and this one. You only got two. I just want you to drop your elbow. So it's not this. Alright, I don't want you to do that. Okay? Because then you're using your shoulder to bring your arm back. So I want you to drop your elbow and breathe in. And sink at the same time. And then now I want you to straighten up your arm by turning your elbow together. Alright, turning your elbow together, and it lengthens your arm for you, so you don't have to do this. Alright, all this movement comes from your shoulders. Don't want any shoulders, yeah, remember? Right, your shoulders should be completely at rest. Breathing in. Breathe out. Just kind of bring your elbows together and it lengthens for you. Alright, let's do that again. So I'm going to, right, I don't know whether you're going to see this now. In, I've changed something. So I'm going to soften my hip flexors as well. You can do the same if you want. Breathe out. So as I lengthen, alright, as I squeeze my elbows a little bit together without engaging my shoulder, my shoulders are still really relaxed. I don't know whether you've noticed something else or you notice something else with yourself, with your hands. Breathe out. Just bring the elbows together slowly. 2 more. In. Just drop the elbow. Breathe out. One more time. Drop the elbow, remember? Just drop the elbow. If you can, also relax the hip flexors. So the Chinese word for that is your qua. Alright, I know there's a couple of you, probably more than a couple of you, are quite experienced in these things. When you squeeze your elbows together, I don't know what else you find is happening with this here, right? That's your other. It goes together. Here, here, goes together. I don't know what you found. Okay, I'm going to ask you to change your movement. So if you imagine, you know, the train, the wheels. Yeah, so I'm going to ask you to start to do, it's exactly the same thing, but I want you to start doing circular movement. Okay, so you're still going to drop the elbow. You're still going to lengthen your arms by squeezing your elbow. Drop your elbow, but start making as if you're a train, and these are the wheels. Breathe out. Drop your elbow. Breathing in. Don't forget to sink. Breathe out. Hopefully, you're still making the connection between your hands. So circular movement and breathe out. I'm dropping my elbow. and last one. And breathe out. Just relax, drop your elbow. Okay. We worked on the trunk area. This area here, getting you to move from this area rather than just doing this kind of thing, all right? Because when you do this kind of thing, you can try one side of your hip flexor, you poke it, it's rock solid, all right? This one's still nice and soft, but that means you've closed up, you tighten this hip flexor, and that's why we don't move like that, and that's why I want you to, that's why I do those drills, to get you to isolate this area, to move from this area. Okay, so let's gonna do that. So I want you to completely relax, still with your chest empty and nice full back. I don't mean tense back. Okay, so it's like a round big back. I always imagine myself an Incredible Hulk. All right, so nice round strong big full back. That's what you want to. And then if somebody's kind of like coming at you with a punch, what are you going to do? You're not going to stick your chest out, well, I hope you don't, but probably you kind of trying to avoid it. So that's what I want. That's exactly how I want you. Okay. All right. So from here, I want you to just isolate your trunk and twist from your toe. So your knees need to stay square up. Breathing in. So I don't want you to like push over with your shoulder. Remember, your shoulder is obsolete. Just focus, and you can't turn it very much. Probably just 5 past or 5 to the hour. Breathe out. So we're just using this area. Don't worry about other things yet. Breathing in and breathe out. Just a few sides. I just want you to feel the movement in your trunk area. In and out. Forget about your shoulders. It's not a competition how far you can move. So you don't need to, doing all that thing is pointless. So you just close up your hip. In. And breathe out. Alright, so right at the beginning, I said start to shift weight. And this is what I want you to do now. So when you turn this way, what you want to do, you want to sink your weight. So you want to find your tailbone to this side of your heel. And you should be able to find yourself, you're shifting weight, so no longer 50-50. You should find yourself turn a little bit further. So I'm going to start shifting weight. So I'm going to find my knee sinking into this side. And I have softened my hip flexors a little bit, but I'm just going to show you something. So I'm sinking, so I'm finding my tailbone to this side. And you should feel, but your weight should be sitting in your heel. So shift weight. And you find that you can go a bit further. Going a bit further. And to go further still, but if you can't and you go into your knees is going funny, and what happens is if you soften, if you open your hip flexors, you can go really far. So that means my shifting of my weight is actually increasing as well. So I'm going to soften, I'm going to sit. So I'm going to soften this side of my hip flexors. It doesn't mean my knees is still going forward, all right? I haven't got one, so they're still parallel, not one in front of the other. So because when I'm sitting, my entire body allows me, just because I'm sitting and I'm opening that side of my hip flexors, all right? I'm not leaving bits of me behind. And breathe out. So softening my hip flexors. In. So I'm not pushing my hip, all right? It doesn't, because I have to sit. I'm sitting in my heel. I'm softening this. That's why I could turn a little bit more. All right, okay. If you're doing this right, Breathe out. Just put this back into your lower dantian. You have to think about it, alright? You're not actually holding anything and putting it in. Right, okay. So if you're doing this right, yes, you should feel your legs, your quads working a lot, especially in the lower bit of your quad. Okay. And it is really great to loosen up your hip flexor, your psoas muscle, which is really, really deep inside, attaching your hip to your upper body. Alright, okay, or your upper body to your hip. Alright, so beach ball. Remember, I always say about that's no good. Elbows down, water can run down your arms. Still, feel the connection between your hands. Remember, just the same as before. That's why I did what I did before. So I'm softening, and I'm just going to squeeze my elbows together. Then I'm just going to drop my elbow, shifting weight, opening my hip. I'm going to squeeze my elbow together. So when you squeeze your elbows together, what happens is it lengthens your arms. It also turns your hand. Breathe out. Alright, I'm going to do this. Breathing in. Shifting weight. Squeeze my elbow together. Back to my beach ball. Elbows down. Bringing my elbows together. I'm just lifting and shining still, so I'm not flexing it and tightening my wrist. Breathing in, beach ball still. Sinking in my left now. Finding my left heel with my tailbone. Breathe in. I'm just going to squeeze my elbow together. So, actually, it looks a little bit like this. In. Squeezing my elbows together. That helps me to lengthen my arms and just back in the middle. Still your beach ball, still sinking, 50-50 now. I'm dropped a bit more. Breathe out. Breathing in. Breathe out. So what you want to do is you want to still feel the connection between your hands, okay? So if you do something like that, you lost completely connection in your hands. You need to still keep connected as if they attach. Your fingers as if the fingers attach to each other. Breathe out. In. Breathe out. If you're dead clever, alright, you can start shifting weight and feel the circular movement in your hip with your hands if you can. You don't have to. I'm quite happy if you just sink, breathe in and out. If you want, you can start circulating as if your hands or your arm or your elbow, better still, is actually moving with your hip. Alright, so you feel this hip going as if it's going round up with your arms. Round, breathing in, breathe out. So I am shifting weight. You might not be able to see, some of you might be able to see it. Breathing in, Breathe out. I just let you rest a little bit. So you're going to put your chi back in your dantian. So you think about it, yeah? You think about it. Okay, last little bit. Still your beach ball. This is probably easier if you are beginners to feel the connection between your hands, because you are as if they are attached. So how are you going to do this? Yeah? Breathe out. So again, nice and simple to start off with. I just want to sink into your stance first, breathing in. And then you can release from your stance and breathe out. And again, in. Breathing out. Right. So you're familiar with Qigong? Why don't you start making the circular movements with your hip, with your hua? So instead of coming up and down, what's happening is you should be turning with your hua, with your hands. Breathe out. Breathing in. I'm playing now. Breathe out. Breathing in. Breathe out. One on each side for me. In. Open the back. Turn. Breathe out. Breathe in. Squeeze your elbows together. Back. Okay. In. Breathe out. Alright, to close. Alright, top of your arms. Coming out. Big tap. Back of up. Down the side of your body. Don't be gentle with yourself, you can't hurt yourself. Oh, my hair's in the way. Again, same. The other side of your body. Your back. Kidneys. And then outside of your legs, back inside of your legs, and all the way up. And thank you so much. And I hope you enjoy that. I hope you can feel the connection between your hands. Who's that? Just arrived. Been doing afterwards. Oh.